Hello, I'm Benjamin Doyle, and this is my graduate project for Introduction to Programming with Python, a basic GUI text editor tutorial. This course was offered at Harvard Extension School in the spring of 2017. Before getting started, I'd like to acknowledge and thank our great staff, Nanad, our instructor, as well as the teaching fellows, Lena, Jose, Kaylee, Alan, and Joe. Just as a note up front, this tutorial was performed using Python 3, not Python 2, so if you're using Python 2, some things may be a little bit different. You may need to refer to material online. So as programmers, we're comfortable operating within a text-based work environment, but this isn't the case for most users. They want something that's more intuitive and easy to use. So how do we address this? This is where GUIs, graphical user interfaces, also called GUIs, come into play. This is, as the name would suggest, any time that we're interfacing graphically instead of text-based. So some examples of this include Microsoft Office applications, navigating your desktop, or the interface within your iPhone. So instead of having to type in commands, we are able to point and click and work much more intuitively. For this demonstration, we'll be using Python's standard GUI package, which is called tkinter. We can use tkinter to generate the GUI window application, add a button or tab user interface, and in our case, add a text window and load and save files, which are all intuitive things that a user would like to do. The only thing required to run this code is, as I said, tkinter, which is already installed in Python, so you're all set. There's also a link in this and as well as the YouTube description to find the notebook that I'm using. So let's get started with some programming. Here we see my Jupyter notebook. Like I had said, the module that we're going to be using is tkinter. Now it's important to focus on the formatting of how I've formatted the imports, because there's some differences between Python 3 and Python 2. So just be careful with how you're formatting it, and if you're using Python 3, that you do it like I have. If you're using Python 2, you may have to look up a different formatting, but those can be found in the supplemental material found online for tkinter. Now import asterisks is what we use when we want to import all module classes directly into the namespace, so we don't have to specify whatever we're using within that module, so either tkinter.x or tkinter.y, in the case of tk or text. Normally we would need a tkinter in the beginning of that. So first we're going to make our window, so that we're going to be assigning to root, and we're going to be calling one at the top of it to say my first text editor. You could say, Ben's text editor, or whatever your name is. But that's what's going to be displaying at the very top. Then we're going to be creating our text space within that. So in this case, we're putting it. That's why we're using text. Now .grid is a geometry manager. It organizes the widgets in a table-like structure. And a widget is what things are considered within tkinter. So if you're looking within any of the material for tkinter and it's referring to widgets, that's what they're talking about. Just things. Next, we want to make a save button. So this is just so that our user can save whatever they're working on. To do that, we first have to define a function, save as. So we define save as, it can take in global text, global within text, t.textGet, so this is just removing the information that we want out of text. Next, we need to define a save location. It's important that this was all within the same cell for as all the stuff that we've imported, or else you can run into some issues with file dialog not importing correctly. I was having some problems with that. So save location equals file dialog, ask save as file name. tkinter has all of these tools already built in, so we don't have to use a lot of programming. And this is kind of the beauty of modules. This is just a tool that we can use for general purposes. So this is going to make a file dialog window pop up that we can save our file within. Now we want to make sure the program doesn't crash if file dialog is canceled, so we have to make sure we tell it that only if the save location is not equal to none. So we have something. We've been giving something as the save location. Now make sure you close your file at the end. Next we're going to define the open command, which is very, very similar to the save command. Next we're going to define exit command. So this is just the command that we're going to be using for our exit button. In this case, again, there's a built-in tool, message box.ask OK cancel quit, are you sure you want to quit? So if the person selects the quit button, root.destroy is going to execute, which will close the window. So now we've made our functions. Now we just need to put them onto buttons. That's what we're doing over here. So this is generating a save button. This one's generating an open button. This is generating an exit button. So as a little extra bonus, we can also make, instead of buttons, we could make file bars. So in this case, just as a little demonstration, I have we've also going to have a quit from the file menu that's going to be up at the top. So we make it a file menu, menu.add, cascade, label file, and then file menu, add command, quit, label quit, which is then going to execute command, exit command. So any place we're putting in a command, that's where we're using the functions that we've already defined, and that's what's going to happen when we click on the button. Now at the very bottom, make sure you have root.main loop. This is what's going to execute the program. If it's earlier, it's not going to include everything. So let's see how this works. So here we see, I have my first text editor. Now if I want to type in what I want to test, so test, tutorial test, I'm going to click save file. I'm going to save it to the desktop. I'm going to go test.txt. So I want to make it a txt file. I click save. You see it appears over here. Now, the reason it says my first text editor number 26, that's just because I've been opening multiple times and it isn't forgetting the fact. Since I haven't restarted my computer and reset the Jupyter Notebook, it keeps renaming it just with higher numbers. Now, you can delete, select open file, test.txt, you can see what we wrote, and there we go. There we have it. Now, if we want, we can either click on the quit button. It's going to prompt us. We can quit. And we can we'll reopen again. And we can select file quit also up here. Well, there you have it. So that's how you would make a basic text editor. So here are my references. This project was largely based on an Instructables article about making a text editor, as well as one I'd found on nopapa.com. Many thanks to Nanad and all the other staff for introduction to programming with Python. Thanks.